I know that you're a huge fan of not just like writing and producing and constructing, but like special effects and artistry that goes into production like the X-Files. So what are we going to see in 2018 that maybe we didn't have enough technology for you to do?
Just imagine that we made the show in 1993 when digital editing was kind of still in its infancy. I actually was still shooting on film before the X-Files. The X-Files was the first show I ever did, which was a digital edit. We were still shooting on film then. Now everything is digital. The effects have they're light years from what it was originally on the show. There were effects, when I see them now, effects from 1993, I cringe. It's like I can't watch them. They are so antiquated now. Now you can do effects literally on set. You watch an effect something laid over something else and see it happening in real time, where we would have to actually there are things we just couldn't do. We didn't have the time and the money. Now it's cheap and fast.
Chris, do you find that this format now, the sort of the quote-unquote limited series format, actually suits the show better than having to do, say, 22 episodes a season?
It suits my lifestyle better. It's, we're talking about arcs basically. 6-episode arc went like that. And a 10-episode arc goes more like that, where a 22-episode arc is a long, drawn-out arc, and you can play things more subtly, but you've got to do things in a more dramatic arc with 10 episodes. I like it. It allows us to go off and think about the show in a way you couldn't before. When you're doing 22 episodes, you're working 11 and a half months a year, and then you take a 2-week break, which really isn't a break, and you come back and you start doing it again. This has been a much more workable approach.
I feel like initially when the show was first coming out and being accepted and like embraced by people, it was a lot to do with people feeling sort of distrustful of their own government. I think obviously we all feel a lot that way now. Do you feel like that's having an effect now going into
Yes.
next season?
The X-Files has always dealt with political realities, and that's, I think, part of its appeal early on. I mean, it really is a show that came out of my childhood, which was, I was a child of, I didn't go to I was too young to be in the Vietnam War, but I was, 17 years old when Watergate happened. That was a powerful thing for me, and so my distrust of government comes right from that experience. And that distrust is still with us today. But certainly it was with us in 1993 when I started the show. So much has changed politically since 1993. Radical changes to 2001, radical changes through the Obama years, and now a radical change, even more radical change with President Trump. So the X-Files has gotten to deal with a lot of political realities, and I always think that it's given the show a lot of its life.
Before we had the revival with, last season, there had been some rumors of a possible third X-Files movie. Well, first of all, I guess how true or not true was that? Did you start to think story ideas, and was any of those ideas carried over into the actual revival itself?
I actually wrote a third X-Files movie just as an exercise, just to see how I felt about the shape of it. Mm-hmm. I haven't had any serious conversations with 20th Century Fox about that. I think right now they're focused on the television series. Mm-hmm. Does that mean there wouldn't be a third movie? No, but there's nothing in the works.
Okay, so you everything in that script you're still kind of holding back. You
Yes.
haven't cherry picked.
Yeah,
for the show.
and it was never a script to be shot. It was more I was exploring things with the characters in a big screen approach rather than a small screen approach.
Okay. Do you find that the mix of stories really works now the way you want it? Because I remember it was like season 2, and you did the first Darren Morgan episode, and people were like, "My God, you can't do comedies!" And now people are like, "Are you going to do a Darren Morgan
No,
episode?"
they wait for those comedies now. It's different. When we did that first Darren Morgan episode, which was in season 3, I think. they sent it out. We had to test it with a test audience and to see if they would allow us to do comedy episodes, that the show could actually, attempt something like that was something that 20th Century Fox wasn't sure about. It worked, and it laid the foundation for lots of tonal shifts in the show. The show isn't just any one thing. It's not just a scary science fiction show. It can be many things, and I think we owe a lot to Darren Morgan for that.
Chris, what's the pressure level on this? When you came back last year, everybody was waiting, dying to see it. It had been so many years. Was it a little more relaxed shooting this one and a little more pressure off, or is it the same?
It's a little more pressure off because I feel like we just did it, and we're coming back and doing some more, rather than 12 years have elapsed and
Right.
You're all getting back together and trying to figure out how to do it. As I say, we went from a standing start last time. Now we've got, we're in the race now, and there's a difference.
Right. And what did you learn from what your experience was last season that's applying to this season?
What works, what doesn't work, what the audience is saying about the show. You listen carefully to that, but you always trust your instincts and your gut. We've always written about what we're interested in, and the audience has come with us. We continue to do that, but we are also mindful of what people are saying.
Sorry to follow up. Can you give us an example? What are you reacting to? What did a fan say that?
I think that the thing I heard loudest was from the people who were interested in Mulder and Scully's relationship. Why are they apart when we last saw them together? But my feeling was there were reasons for that, and life is peaks and valleys, and Mulder and Scully went from this peak where they were together, and they found themselves in a valley where they weren't. I think we are dealing with that relationship, which is always transforming in an interesting way in season 11.
Do you think a whole new generation binged all the seasons in advance of the revival?
It's amazing to me that there are people who come up to me who weren't even born when the XFiles was originally on, who come up and say that they're fans of the show. So they had to have watched it elsewhere. So I think that you can binge watch it now, works to our benefit because people can play catch up.
They're talking about political reality. There's a lot of talk about diversity in television and what have you. But from day one, there was diversity in the X-Files. Was this a conscious effort?
Yeah, it's like I've never discriminated in the X-Files, and I think we took a little heat for having only a few women directors. But in 1993, there aren't that many women directors in television, so we're being compared to shows that are currently, casting and hiring diverse actors and directors and writers. And we're doing the same right now, but there wasn't that diversity of opportunity out there to hire those people originally. But the X-Files, I think, has always played to diversity. You look at the people we've hired, 3 of our 5, the important job in physical production is the line producer. 3 of the 5 line producers on the show have been women. So we've always had a diverse cast and a diverse crew. We haven't so much in the directing category.
You have a few other really well-known projects under your belt that you probably could have chosen to go back to. Why choose to continuously go back to the X-Files?
I got a call like 2.5 years ago from 20th Century Fox, and they said Dave and Jillian want to come back. And so it's like, well, if they want to come back, I'll come back. If I would have gotten the call from 20th Century Fox saying, do you want to come back? I would have said no, not unless David and Jillian want to come back. So that they wanted to do it was, for me, all important.
Were you at all surprised that they wanted to do it and still want to do it? They're here again.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
They have lives and children and careers, and this takes a tremendous amount of energy, and we've got to be in Vancouver, which is away from their families and my family, and so it takes it's life. The clock is ticking. And we all look at that now. You get to be a certain age and you think about how you're spending your time. Obviously, all of us feel this is important enough to be spending our time on it.
Can we go back to what you were saying before, Chris, about the political atmosphere of now versus 93? Because we have a show like, say, American Horror Story, where they basically put the cards on the table and say, starts with the Trump election.
Right.
But do you find that weaving that sort of political climate into your show is more understated than overt? So more the
I can tell you there's not an episode that deals directly with the political realities. The political realities are part of the way we think about the show, but we are not responding to the political reality the way they are, where they're taking it head on.
Thank you.
Thank you
All right,
so
thank you.
much.
Thanks.